I can do it by observing, I can do it by making affinity map, I can do it by making stakeholder diagrams, I can do it by doing empathy mappings. So these are different ways. I will tell you one by one. Then I need to evaluate these ideas on the basis of brainstorming. Okay? Then by visualizing, developing some techniques for prototyping, and then I have to take it to the market. Okay, so the first step of any problem or solution is to identifying my stakeholders. So when I say stakeholders, so these are the people who are directly or indirectly involved in my product, okay, or any solution which I am giving. So if there is a project team, so their HR, employees, their customers, okay, even their influencers and rest of the world are their stakeholders. So whenever you design any sort of product, you must first thing which you need to do is you need to basically make a stakeholder canvas. Who is your internal, who is your external customers? Okay, right? If you are making a toy, for an example, so it is not just the child who is basically using that toy will be your stakeholder. Their parents, okay, the people who are involved in selling these toys, okay, manufacturers of the toy. These are all people who will be involved in a stakeholder canvas. So the first step of knowing or of doing a designing or making a product is basically knowing about the stakeholders. Okay, this can be one example. So there can be a core team, then there are different other people, and there are different other people. So these are the ways in which stakeholder canvassing is done. So and stakeholders are those people which are basically involved in my which are basically involved in making sure that I am doing what. Who are the people who are involved in my product? Okay. The second step is called as empathy. Empathy is knowing what my customers need. Okay. So empathy maps are one of the most useful techniques. It is one of the most useful technique of design processing. Okay. So I map the thing or of the things of my users, okay, on the basis of its observations. So, and I try to make a existing persona. So what does an empathy maps help me out in? It helps me out in better understanding the users. It distilled out the informations on one visual reference. Okay, it gives me key insights from the research. It is a very fast and inexpensive method. It is easy customizable based on available informations and more. It is a common understanding among the team. So this is how an empathy map is being made. Okay, is this diagram visible to you all? Empathy mapping.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so empathy mapping is all about what does a user or the people for whom I am making the product think and feel. How does he see? What are the environment and medium? What does he say and do? What does he hears? Okay. What are the different pain points what this person had? Okay, so we'll take an example and we'll try to understand this. So for an example, there is a office going young lady. She basically needs coffee daily in the morning. Okay, so what does she basically want? She wants convenience in getting the coffee. She's a heavy user of mobile phone, so she likes to use his phone, and she enjoys picking up her coffees. Okay, what does she does? She drinks coffee every day. She heavily uses smartphones, and she walks to work. Okay, she doesn't like to be in the line. Okay, so she doesn't like to be in the line. So this is a long line. Okay, and she thinks that she needs caffeine to function. So in the morning, first thing which she needs is a caffeine. Okay, what does she feel? Because she doesn't like to be on the line, so she is impatient in nature, as well as she feels overwhelmed when she get the coffee. So this is how empathy mapping is done. Major aim of empathy mapping is to know what the problem actually the user have. Okay, so like if I will give you one more example. There was a 60-year-old lady who has been observed by a group of team for empathy. And when they have started observing her, they find that this lady is an arthritic patient and she is facing problem in opening up the uh, medicine bottle which is being given to her. Okay, and this is how basically you can do a empathy mapping. Okay, so empathy is knowing what the exact problem does the customer have. Okay, the second step of empathy mapping is journey mapping. So user do, think and feel throughout a day. These are the three process which he keeps on doing. Okay, so he keeps on doing. So like if there is a man who want to fix a doctor appointment for her mother, okay, so he was doing what he's going to fix a doctor appointment for his mother. He is thinking that I should leave 5 minutes before. Okay, I should get appointment. Okay, what he is feeling, that everything is needed to be kept on time. Okay, worried that will the doctor help or not. He is always checking out his phone for a missed call. Okay, when he is going to take some medicine from the pharmacy. So this is how basically. So there are different things which he keeps on doing. Keeps on thinking and he keeps on feeling. So this is basically the things are. This is called as journey mapping. Okay, so journey mapping can be done. So any sort of process can be divided into three major part, which are called as before, during and after. Okay, so before is before you start using that product, during is when you are using that product, and after when you are done using that product. Okay, then comes the next thing, which is called as buyer persona or user persona. So it contains all the information of an user, like what is his age, what is his gender, how many children he or she have. Okay, if it is required, what is his martial status, what are the locations, educations, what are his professional informations, what are the different things which he fears about herself, or what are the different obstacles she feels, what are the goals and challenges which she have or which he have. Okay, where they are, what are the information, what are the negative informations which are there. So this is how basically a user persona is mapped. So empathy mapping and user persona goes hand in hand. By this you will get to know who your user actually is, and what do they feel, and what are their pain point and gain points. Then you can make a affinity diagram. So when you define your problem well, so you make a affinity diagram. Okay, so like if you are trying to make a camping gear for or an affinity chart for camping gear, so you need to basically see that it should be it should be designed. So if you are going in jungle, so it should be something of bright color so that it can be easily located. It is easy to set up. Okay, it should be reliable. It should hold the poles up strong. It should be made up of a strong fabric. It should be repairable. It should be upgraded. It should have a heavy zipper. Okay, purchase history. If you already know a dealer, so then this is something which is needed to be known about. Capacity, the number of people who can adjust in this. What are the storage capacity? Does it has a sleeping room or not? So these are the three ways in which you can define a problem. Okay, so when you define a problem, you basically go from problem state to a solution stage, which is called as ideation stage. So the next step of defining a problem is how might be questions. So how might be questions are basically try to see that how we can going to solve these problems. So like how might we ensure people to pay taxes before the deadline? How might we help employees to stay more productive and healthy during the workday? How might we find our customer feels the information is safe and secure? Okay, how might be question should be something which should start with problem. It should something which should be uncovered. You should not suggest any solution and how might be questions. Okay, you need to keep a how might be board. You need to focus on what are the desired outcome which you want from how might be questions. Okay, and then you have to phrase your how might be questions very positive. Okay, so you need to check that is it the existing problem. Okay, what are the desired outcome? Is it written positively or not? Is it the board enough for creative idea? Does it suggest any solutions? So this is where the things are. Okay, then the next stage is called as defining a problem. So when you define a problem, you amplify the good, You eliminate the bad, all those things which are bad in nature, particularly in your product. Okay, explore the opposite. So what do? Is you basically see that what is needed and what is not needed. Okay, then you questions the assumptions about what is there in your hand. Okay, then you identify some unexpected resource which can work for you. Then you can create an analogy, and then you can break the problem into pieces. So what does an ideation mean is you need to eliminate the good, eliminate the bad and amplify the good. Okay, explore opposite and questions. You have to analyze the things. You have to identify some unexpected resource. Then there are two ways in which ideation can be done. One is called as brainstorming or dot voting. So all ideas which are there on the board are welcome. No criticism of idea is allowed. You can write down all the ideas on the slip. Then you can do dot voting. So if there are different ideas, like if I've given you a problem that make a toy for 3-year-old child, so you can come up with different ideas. Since the criticism of ideas are not allowed, so you can always write n number of ideas. Then what you need to do is you need to vote these ideas for. Okay, so what are the different types of ideas? So one idea which are getting most number of vote will get selected for the next stage of prototyping. Okay, storyboarding we will cover later on. Okay, now one of the speaker or one of the presenter who was there, she has already spoken about prototyping. So let me just further add up to this. This is a draft version of a product which allowed you to explore your idea and show what are the intentions and a features which is an overall design or a concept before you invest money into the development. Okay, so before commercialization of a product, you make a prototype product. Okay, it is basically a preliminary model or a machine from which you basically can which can be copied or developed. Okay, it allow you to basically to do three things. One is it allow you to, we'll discuss it in detail. Okay, so it is a product or a service model which allow you to test your assumptions. Okay, and test what are the different things which are there. Okay, now what should a prototype should look like? It should be a quick model. It should something which can be minimally developed. Okay, it should be inexpensive. Okay, it should be something wherein you doesn't require major investment, because since it is not a commercialized model, so it is something which can be done through less investment. Okay, it should be something which is very clear and having very common vocabulary, so very simple symbols, lines, interactive components. Okay, it should be something which contains interactivity as well as which includes content and interactivity. It should be properly refined. It should not be very something which gives you a fake user experience. It should be something which can be really applicable. Okay, and it should be validated. Okay, so it should be something wherein you can always try using it. Okay, so prototype is an installation of an idea which requires some more fine tuning. Okay, so this is where now prototype are used to basically do three tasks. Okay, one is it allow you to test your key assumptions. It allow you to communicate very complex idea in a very simpler manner. It gives you faster learning so that you can fail fast, fail cheaply, and get smart. Okay, so before you invest a big amount of money in your product, you can fail. Okay, then you can always fail cheaply by making some cheap product or by making just a prototype, and then you can get smart. Okay, there are two types of prototypes which are commonly discussed, which is called as low fidelity prototype and high fidelity prototype. We'll discuss them. Okay, so low fidelity prototype is a paper based prototype which doesn't allow interaction. It can be a sketch. Okay, or it can be something which is a early visualization stage. Okay, additional advantage of this is you can use a rough sketch or you can make changes according to the user needs. Okay, so this is low fidelity prototype. Then high fidelity prototype, it is also called as hi-fi. Okay, it is a computer based interactive representation of a product with all the technologies like CAD and CAS, and all other things. Now you can make a high fidelity prototype. So high fidelity prototype is basically where you interface with your user. You can always makes your product look visual and aesthetic, okay, and you can always make sure that your user experience and your terms of interactions and your behavior is taken into considerations. Okay, so these are the two types. Okay, so just a revision of and it can be easily developed, and it helps you out in in communicating your complex idea in a better way. It gives you faster learning, okay. So this is what is prototyping. So if you talk about this now, so like sketches. So sketches is a low fidelity prototype. Wireframe is a concept file validation. Just if you see, the usability is increasing. So then it is moving from low fidelity prototype to high fidelity prototype. Okay, the final usability is final branded and a fully developed product. Okay, while a prototype which is a visual prototype can be a visual design. Okay, there can be an overall structure or anything which is made up of cardboard. Okay, or there can only be a sketches. Okay, so we'll first look over low fidelity prototype. Is this screen visible to everyone?
So,
Yeah. Okay. So one is a sketch. So concept development requires visual representation of your thoughts and idea. So this is an sketching. Okay, you can sketch the things out. Okay, you can see how, like, if I say you to design a helmet, so you can always try to sketch the things out. So this is first type of low fidelity prototype, where you can define that how does it looks like. Okay, then there are physical model. Okay, so you can always make a rough sheet or from crude materials such as cardboard. Okay, so this is a camera which is made by cardboard. Okay, or by typically wood or any sort of 3D form. So these are called as physical model. Okay, which may not be working, but they gives you a basic product that hey, this is how the product will look like. So this looks like a school project where you all must have made these windmills and all other things. So this is where a low fidelity prototype comes in. If your product is a service and you want to visualize the life of an individual, okay, who is using this service, so you can always go for storyboarding. So it is a storyboarding. It is a series of design that visualize a particular sequence of event. This might include a common situation or a hypothetical implication of your service. Okay, so I will just give some time on this thing. Okay, so how does a storyboard looks like? So there was a girl who has entered into a school or a college. Okay, she enjoyed taking the classes, and she commute from one place to another since the college is very big. Okay, she goes from one class to another, but by evening she get exhausted because she doesn't get good time to have a lunch. Okay. Okay, so what can be done? She has then consulted a dietitian or a nutritionist, and she has defined her that these are the proper diets which are to be done. Okay, but when she actually comes into the situation, she has a lot of work to do. She said that this is not possible. Okay, and this is where the whole story ends. But then she was looking for something on her mobile, and then she finds that there is this app called as Eat Right. Okay, so there is this app called as Eat Right. She has downloaded this app, then she has synced it with her calendar, and then she has set a goal that she need to consume food which are less than 1400 calories. Now she get alert when that this is the time when she can eat something. She has also find different types of things which are available nearby her college, and what distance they are available. Now she can focus on her class and be energetic at the same time, and her nutrition she is also taking track of what she has done. Her nutrition is also very happy that she is doing great job. So this is called as storyboarding, where a girl was facing a problem of not having proper diet in her lunch, has now taken up a app, and this is how she is now basically doing it. Okay. Some other type of low fidelity prototyping is playing or acting or body storming. It is also called as. So if it is a service based product which required you to get involved in some sort of events or services, so then you can basically go for acting. This is commonly done through role playing. Okay. So this is called as body acting or body storming. Okay. Or playing or acting. So this is also one of the way of making a low fidelity prototype. Then you can always go for some rapid prototyping techniques like CAD, computer aided design. Okay, so which help you out in making a 3D design of a final concept. So if you have a final concept, like if you make a sketch of this thing, and now you want to make a full product, so you can always go for this 3D CAD design. Okay, there are 3D printers which are available in which you can make a prototype product. Okay. Apart from this, you can always make these free form fabrications like 3D printing. So this is one, or you can always make these soft models of your prototype. So these are some of the techniques through which a good prototype can be made. One way of prototyping, particularly in applied science cases, is scientific experiments. So what you do, you sketch, then you evaluate, then you model it, then you test it. Okay. Till your experiment failed, then you again sketch, evaluate, model, and test. Okay. So this is something which is called as these are the ways in which you can always make a prototype. Okay. Now there is something which is called as high fidelity prototype. So whether your low fidelity prototypes looks like a sketch, okay, where high fidelity prototype is something which is a complete product which gives you a better user experience, and a user can always use it. Okay, and gives the feedback. So it is dependent on UI and UX model. Okay, so like this can be a high fidelity prototype. So if you can see these two pictures, okay, one is where you are seeing an sketches. Okay, while here what these sketches are actually looking on in a software. Okay, so this is where here I have taken an example of a restaurant. Okay, so you can rate an next restaurant, you can purchase it, you can complete your order. Similarly, if you basically try to see what is your you want to make a diary for yourself. Okay, so you can always start with this. Okay, how you are feeling, what has affected your day, whether it is your morning, your evening. Okay, and then you can always give a summary of how you have felt overall in an overall day. So this is called as high fidelity prototype. The next step of high fidelity prototype is to take it to market. Okay, so you need to basically make that how will the product perform. You have to test the product. You have to ask who are your customers. Okay, you can test your customer as your actor, as an observer, or as a moderator. Okay, then you have to take some sort of feedback, and you need to make constructive changes in your product. Okay, so a prototype can always be changed for the better customer experience. Okay, and majority of time I have found that people are not willing to change the product. So this is something which can be done. So constructive changes needed to be find it out. Ultimately, you need to find that what are the different game creators which are there in your product. What are the different pain reliever? What are the different things which is relieving the pain of the customers? By the pain, I mean problems. Okay, what are the things which you want the customers to do? What are the things which your product and service will be doing? Okay, you can always take your product on the basis of two strategies. One is called as red ocean strategy, the other is called as blue ocean strategy. So red ocean strategy is when you are competing in your existing market. That is something which is red ocean strategy. When you have taken an uncontested market space, so that is something which is called as blue ocean strategy. When you exploit existing demand, or when you exploit the existing demand, it is called as red ocean strategy. When you exploit a new demand, so it is or create a new demand, so that is called as blue ocean strategy. Okay, companies like Netflix, companies like Amazon, they have came through blue ocean strategies. Okay, so here you have aligned the whole system in the persuasion of differentiation. Here you have made a strategic choice for being differentiated from your competitor. Okay, the last and a final thing, or I can say the second last thing which is needed to be done, is to make sure that you make a business model canvas. So who are your key partners, which will come from stakeholders? What are the key activities? What are the key resources which is needed? Okay, what is your value proportion? How you will relate with your customers? Okay, how do you will segment your customers? What are the distribution channels which you will find? What is your cost structure? Where you will get the revenue from? Okay, the ultimate outcome of all these things, like making a prototype or anything, is to make a minimum viable product. Okay, so minimum viable product is basically an ideal product which try to minimize investor risk so that they can succeed in a market. Okay, so it is a product which is delightful, usable, and useful. Okay, and it is a minimum viable product which can be further change and improve, but it will also makes you start early in the market, and as well as it will make your idea very simple, and you can always come up with some small number of features so that you can quickly get customer insight about the product. Okay, so like if you want to open up a restaurant, opening up a restaurant on a cart or a food cart can be a minimum viable product. Okay, so from prototype, you need to make sure that you make a minimum viable product. What are the some mistakes which you need to avoid as an entrepreneur? First is the fear of failure. Okay, you need to make sure that you are basically making customers, or you are not fearing from failure. You need to solve the customer problem, not rushing toward money. Majority of us start entrepreneurial journey for making good money, which will always comes in, but yes, you need to make sure that your problem is being, you are solving a bigger customer problem. Okay, you are not measuring how big the problem is. Sometimes you basically comes up with a problem which might be your problem but not a bigger market problem. Okay, you do too much of planning, so basically there is no need of much planning, but you need to plan a bit, but there is no need of good number of planning. You're not doing any sort of research and just starting up your journey. You are not having a revenue stream. Okay, so if you are basically making an entrepreneurship idea, you need to have a revenue stream. You are having love with your idea and you're not basically compromising or taking any sort of constructive changes which is there on your which is needed to be done on your idea. Okay, you don't have any proper product around the problem. Okay, so you are not basically making a product which is solving actual problem, and it is not knowing about MVP. So if you are not knowing about your minimum viable product, so then this is something which is needed to be avoided. Okay, don't get disturbed by all sort of distraction which can be a campus placement. Okay, if you are not doing any sort of networking, so then this is also a problem. You don't be a frog in a well. Okay, do majority of networking, try to attend different types of workshops, knowledgeable workshop where you will get different things. Okay, you are not doing any sort of bootstrapping, you are not ready to compromise on the things, you are not having no domain knowledge, there is no terms and visions and road ahead for your things. So these are some of the things which can be avoided when it comes to entrepreneurship. What are the different resources through which you can start up your journey? You can attend these webinars, seminars, conferences, which makes you learn a lot. You can do a lot of networking. You can go to this MSME site, SIDBI, NABARD, different incubation centers. You can always join these community and groups where people are talking about entrepreneurship, you can always participate in this IIC's activities, AIC activities, entrepreneurship activities. Your college is blessed to have an IIC. Okay, you have to prioritize your task, that what is most important task for you. Do reply to your customer if you have some base of customers, so then you can always have, you can always be grateful. Once you plan that which product you want to do, so you can always visit this website called as productgraveyard.com. It has a number of product which has already died, and which have not worked in the market. So if you are going in the same line, you can always check in that these are the product which has already not worked. So that is where these are some of the resources which you can start up with. Okay, these are some of the references where I have taken my content from. This is all about me. Okay, this is where I can be reached. I am also a blogger, so you can always find me on my blogging site. Okay, so this is, you can take a screenshot of it if you want. And this is all from my side. Your questions are invited if you have some.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jitendra Patel. It was indeed very informative. Now we would proceed towards answering your queries, guys. Please post your questions in the chat box. All your doubts will be answered accordingly.
Okay, so if there is a question, I will be good to answer it. Otherwise, you can always reach to me.
Sir, I think no one has any questions, but I myself have a question.
Yeah.
So you told about the high fidelity prototyping. So
Yeah.
what do you think? Like, what is more in the fashion, or what is more trending? Like high fidelity prototyping or the low fidelity prototyping?
Okay, so just to answer this question, this is a progressive journey. Okay, so you first make up low fidelity prototype is how your product will look like. Okay, and then you basically do some sort of sketching or any sort of things. But then if you are comfortable with technologies, like if you know a bit of 3D printing, or if you can, know about a bit about how to get your product, basically, or how to make your product, so you can always move from a low fidelity prototype to a high fidelity prototype. And high fidelity prototype must be a working model which can be taken to the customers to take their experience, as well as it should be something which is basically more interactive in nature, so that you can take this and you can make further changes as being told by the customers. Okay, so this is a continuous progression. Okay, but since the technologies are more developing and now people are becoming more aware about CAD and computer aided design softwares, or there are 3D printers which are being found at different places, so people are now moving toward high fidelity prototype, as well as making a software or making an app is not a big deal nowadays. So that is why people are now making more of a high fidelity prototype. But then again, your customer experience should be something which is needed to be taken care of. I think I have answered your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. The doubt is
one more question. It is coming from Shraddha, if I'm not, how you can get started as a beginner in a product design, which prototype to begin with. Yeah, so again, prototyping is a very later stage. First, you need to empathize with your customer. You need to ask them that is this a problem which you are facing. Second is you need to define that problem in a very better way. Third is you need to basically ideate around that problem. What are the different ways in which that problem can be solved? You can come up with some groups. You can always take cross departmental, like if you are from applied science, you can take someone from management, or you can take someone from engineering who can make a product or a prototype for you. Then you can make a prototype. Okay, so these are some of the things which are needed to be taken care of. First is user problem and who are your users. Okay, like if you are making an app for an illiterate person, he might not be able to use it very properly, so then you have to come up with some other solution. Okay, yeah. So what are the other things that can add value to our product apart from prototyping and designing? Yes, your user experience and the feedback which you have got from the user is basically very much needed. And if your users are positive toward your product, or if they are saying that these are the things which are needed to be changed in your product, so that is something which is needed to be taken care of. So prototype designing, moving further, testing it in the market, and adding values which are being identified as good by the user is something which can be used to make your product more better. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, one more question that I have. As you have a very varied persona in your profile, I would like to know from you that what is the, one of the most, I should say, one of the most exciting field at this present time for a beginner to step in? And of course, as an entrepreneur, what is also the most profitable field to enter in as a
Okay, so these are the two things which goes way beyond. One is that you are looking for something which is profitable and something which is interesting. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So like if you are interested in something, you can further make it profitable. But you need to make sure that whatever you are picking up is something which is profitable. Okay. So your idea should be there are 4 criteria of judging an idea, which I have already told. It is based on originality, feasibility, profitability, and marketability. Okay. So like if you are like, I will give you an example. If you are more into artistic side, okay, so and you want to sketch the thing, so you can start up your Instagram page where you can start selling out your paintings, and you can always you can put some of the paintings, then and be active on social media, so that you can always find people who are there, and then you can start selling out your paintings. So this is how basically, so you need to make sure that your interest is then converted into a profitable idea. Okay, so it is not that you pick up a profitable field. Otherwise, second way of going through is that you pick up a field which is basically trending. Like if you can, there are majority of things which are going in AI and different other areas like blockchains and all other things. So you can start reading about these things, and then you can pick up one of the interest area, and then you can start making a product around it. Okay, so these are the 2 ways in which you can always find yourself in. Okay, so like in my case, I find giving lectures on entrepreneurship more interesting. Okay, but I do blogging for my own love of writing. Okay, so blogging for me is not something which is from which I derive the profit from. Okay, but yes, helping out the students and making sure that some of my knowledge will be used by the student is something which interests me more. So these are the 2 ways in which you can always define. But yes, as a young person, you must be knowledgeable about all the areas, and then you have to pick one area where you will find your way out. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So like in this workshop is also happening because Khushi has found me on LinkedIn, and that is how we got connected. And so social media is a very big tool, and I must say that you must start using it very properly, so that you can be visible into the market. But you have to have something relevant to basically deliver first.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I hope no one has much questions.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, sir, for answering our questions. It was really very helpful to us.
Okay, great. And thanks once again for inviting me as a speaker. I'd like to thank your college, your IIC body, and all the staff member, management of the college for inviting me as a speaker. If you want any sort of mentoring assignments or any sort of idea which clicks in your mind, and if you want any help, you can always reach me out. These are my mail ID and my number. Okay, so this is how basically. Further, we can collaborate for any sort of other mentoring session. If you want to invite me as a mentor in your IIC, so I am most welcome. I will be most eligible for helping you out in that. Thank you.
Sir.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to ask Tanya to present the screen. Tanya, if you're there, please respond and present the screen. Proceeding further to the conclusion part of this webinar, the institution's Innovation Council extends a sincere gratitude to Dr. Jitendra Patel for delivering this session today and enlightening us about prototyping and what is the process of developing a prototype. Thank you, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule and joining us. We are truly grateful for the learning experience that you provided. We extend our deepest gratitude to our principal ma'am, Dr. Payal Mago, for being pillar of our strength and support. We would like to extend our heartiest thanks to all the teachers for their constant support and motivation. Last but not the least, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the audience for showing your keen interest in this webinar. We hope it provides you with a great learning outcome.
Thank you all. Thank you again, and it's for being such a patient and wonderful audience. And I like to further collaborate with you people if you want. So this is all from my side. Can I sign off now?
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. It was truly insightful, and we are truly grateful for your presence. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Priyanka, just stay connected. I need to discuss few things. And if we have any IIC members right now joined here, please stay joined in with this meet just for a few minutes. If we have any IIC members here, please don't leave the meet. Please stay connected right now.